نعم. It is. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellency Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Awar, Director General of the Federal Authority for Government Human Resources. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests from the Republic of Uzbekistan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of the Federal Authority for Government Human Resource, I am pleased to welcome you to this year's 7th HR Club Forum, which is held under the title of Expo 2020, Nationalization and Knowledge Transfer Initiatives. This event will host Ms. Fatma Al-Lughani, the head of Expo 2020 Academy and Emiratisation. We would like to bring to your attention that this session is being live streamed for our global audience. Please let me first allow you, your presenter, Salwa Abdullah, the Director of Projects and Programs Department at the Federal Authority for Government Human Resource, to begin this event by extending our thanks to the Emirates Islamic Bank for sponsoring the HR Club initiatives. The HR Club is a strategic initiative which was held by FAHR since 2010, and it aims at the development of human capital through creating a platform for all professionals within the UAE, globally, and GCC countries. It's a platform which allows people to share experiences, ideas, and create a platform for interacting and talking about different subjects, best practices. It's a platform where people gather on a regular basis annually to talk about different topics, major topics, HR topics, and any relevant topics that are affecting the UAE and the globe as a whole. The membership to the HR Club is free, and everybody can participate in the HR Club by visiting the FAHR website and entering the HR Club page. It's a free membership, and we send the invites to all of our HR Club members. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event will be hosting Ms. Fatma Al-Lughani, the head of Expo and Emiratisation. She is in charge of the HR, Human Resources, Workforce, and Volunteers Affairs at the Expo 2020 Dubai. Today's forum will be highlighting preparations for the Expo 2020 event, stages, training and Emiratisation efforts, knowledge transfer initiatives, and volunteer management. So allow me, please, to welcome Ms. Fatma Al-Lughani to the stage for her most awaited talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Salwa. Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, fellow HR professionals, Good afternoon. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the guests in the room from the Republic of Uzbekistan. So I would like you please to put your hands together and welcome them by clapping, if that's okay with you. I must say how privileged I am to be in such a country where it gives me the power and the empowerment to be standing before such audience and distinguished delegation from outside, and to be able to share a little bit of the project insights and the experiences in terms of nationalization projects. So thank you very much to Fahar, and thank you very much for all of you to be here today. To begin with, I tend to shade a little bit away from the formalities when I do presentations, because I think we are extremely formal where we are and with whatever we do. And maybe sitting up like this, I can imagine this as a majlis where I get a chance to really engage with you and explain to you all the things and the updates that we do at the Expo 2020 Dubai Frontiers. So to begin with, I just wanted to ask you, in 27th November 2013, the entire Dubai and the UAE was celebrating. How many of you remember that day? I remember that we took a day off, and the schools went off, and the kids stayed home, and the houses were covered with flags of blue. Do you remember the Expo original flag? And residents and citizens were on the street parading. All the shopping bags were stamped with supporting Expo 2020. But allow me to ask you this question. Did you really know at that time what did really Dubai and the UAE win? Because I didn't. Even at the elevator at work, I used to get salutes and congrats from everybody wherever I went. And they say, oh my God, congratulations, you won the World Expo. And I would say, oh, yes, we won the World Expo. But at 2013, I didn't really know what was that. Until the time where I was called to Her Excellency's office, Reem al-Hashimi, at the Emirates Towers in 2015, where Her Excellency herself shared with me the first introduction ever from her mouth about what is Expo 2020 and why it is extremely important for us. So allow me to share a little bit of that insights and take you to that little room I sat with her, where she really expressed her feelings and aspirations and the importance of the event itself for our country and the region. For some of you, World Expos existed 160 years ago. And it started with the trade fair in Paris, in France, where the French really wanted to bring products and they wanted to sell it across borders. The entire idea was successful, attracted a lot of people, and brought up Paris' name as a destination for tourism at that time. And then the first official one was picked up by London, the London 1851. And if you remember the Crystal Palace, it exists now as an evidence of the entire event that took place 150 years ago. With the notions with the world mega events, cities realized how this exhibition is important, and it becomes a good political outreach. So countries become very strong when they invite each other to these events. They also have access to a lot of know-how across the world. They also build up partnerships, relationships. And having said that, besides building the image of the city that's hosting the event itself, like Paris and London and New York and so forth, it becomes also a good tourism exercise. A lot of people are invited to these cities, they see what it has the best, and they go back and tell people about it. So more comes onwards. There is one thing that impacts these cities. Now, if you are hosting a people or millions of people to come to the city that you are in, what happens to that city? You build up a whole infrastructure for them. They need to come by roads. You need to align logistics for them. You need to build hotels. So what does that to the city as such an event? It builds a city within a city. And this is the huge impact that World Expos has in a lot of cities across the world. Now, if you would ask me, have you ever done World Expo before? I'll tell you, I am sorry not, because I have never seen any World Expo happening in our region. But my first experience was in Astana in 2017, where I had to do it as a business trip. So Astana has a smaller expo, which is 3 months period. Now, there are bigger expo, which is 6 months period, that they happen every 5 years. For example, the 2015 one was in Milan. The 2010 was in Shanghai, China. And the 2020 is happening in Dubai. But with the small of 3 months access to Astana, where they talked about the future energies, I really, really wished I attended a World Expo 20 years ago. How many of you in the room have children? If our children could be in a place that can tell them how their world would look like in 50 years forecast, what kind of decisions do you think they will be making today? Do you think they will be making ordinary decisions? No. They will be making futuristic decisions. And they will take different path than ever they will take if they didn't really attend and got a chance to see their world in 50 years advance. So how about bringing the entire expo here to this region, not only the country, the region, and the entire Middle East and South Asia? That access to our youth and children can make miracles. So now that I have explained with you, probably shared with you the power of expos, if the clicker wants. Did you really know that throughout the notions of the expo progress, it started with inventions, and then art and science progress? And then between the 1919 and 1940s, the two World War has hit, and therefore it stopped for a while. And the minute the World Expo picked up again, their subject has changed a little bit. And do you know why? And they started the revolution in terms of industry, because the world at that time really needed people to build up, and they needed industries, and they needed economy. They were exhausted from the war. So throughout that, the Industrial Revolution started. And slowly, the information system age hit, and the technology has been introduced. So we realized also the World Expos came with the notion where they share their best ideas in terms of their best inventions in technology. And then innovation hits. But the past 15 years, it has been realized that we have done so much well throughout advancing the world technologically, economically, but unfortunately, the human element was not tapped on. So what happened in the past few expos? In 2010 Shanghai, the entire theme of Expo has changed towards human development. So it was about city and life. In 2015 in Milan, it was about feeding the planet. And it's simply because we realized we will have a lot of population that will not have enough natural resources like water and food. But the story of Expo 2020 and the theme was quite different. Before I go to the story about how did Dubai, such a small nation, won the World Expo, and there is a reason why I wanted to share this experience with you. I just wanted to share with you that most of these inventions that you could see, and we know today, they were really exhibited first at World Expos. Even the ketchup you have in the restaurants and at your houses, even the cone of ice cream was a product of World Expo. Could you imagine that, or did you believe that? I have a small video to share with you just to give you a boost of introduction about what is Expo 2020 about, and then I will take you through the story of the bid.
From the country that is, and always has been, a connecting hub for the world, the country whose culture is so rich, diverse, and inviting. From the city that brings together more than 200 nationalities, the city that's home to history and art, creativity, and innovation. From the people who made the deserts and beaches a major tourist attraction, and made buildings so high they rise above the clouds. From one of the happiest nations in the whole world, we bring you yet another first, the first World Expo in the Arab world, Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. More than 160 years ago, the first World Expo took place. Expo is where people and ideas come together to create innovations that stand the test of time. It's where world firsts are born to make life better for us all. Expo is where different nations and cultures gather in one place to celebrate the best of human ingenuity. And now, we bring Expo here. We bring it to Dubai. Connecting minds, creating the future isn't just a statement. It's our belief and our vision. It's what our country has been built on right from the start. Expo 2020 Dubai will welcome millions of visitors to experiences that inspire and collaborations that build the future. Expo 2020 Dubai is about unlocking potential for people to be part of shaping the future and creating smarter ways for ideas and people to keep moving. It's about respecting our planet and living in balance with what's around us. Expo 2020 is where the best and most diverse of experiences come to life. It's where you can visit 180 countries without leaving Dubai and enjoy their rich cultures in a journey of a lifetime. And by the way, we're getting ready to welcome you. See you in 2020.
So I hope with this classic video, you got a chance to know what Expo 2020 is all about, because I intend to speak less and show more. There is a research I have conducted on my own merit in 2016, and it's simply because I was quite surprised how a city like Dubai and a nation like us have really went all the way that far to dream to get a World Expo and win it from the first time. So through this little story that I want to share with you, in 2016, I interviewed 10 people who were pioneers, and they were the one who really had hands-on on how did we really win the bid of Expo. And this story, you cannot see it anywhere, except if you were probably checking my LinkedIn account, because I wrote it there. And the reason why I tell the story is simply to tell you how much of sweat and nationalism was in the entire thing. In 2019, the Prime Minister's office was looking for projects that, through these projects, after the getting up of the recession that has hit us, is something that can really develop fast the economies of Dubai and the UAE. And we hired the consultants for it, and they were Falcon Group. So after a few months of research, Falcon came back and they said, mega event brings these impacts. Why don't Dubai bid for one? And then we said, okay, what are these mega events? And it's exactly what I have explained to you and the impact it has. Do you know how many types of mega events we have around the world today? Nearly 3. Can you name them? World Expo is one of them. World Cup is the second one. And the third one is Olympics. And these are the big events that really cities prepare for and invite millions of visitors and spectators to it. So now for a country or a city to apply or a bid for something like that, they have to have a very strong track record. So we looked up at our football club, and our football club could have done really better. So we said, maybe it's not a good idea to go and rally for FIFA and to have a World Cup hosted in the UAE for the time being. Then we looked at the Olympics, and also we thought the same, we could have done better in terms of our sport. We have a lot of Emirati winners, of course, across the world in the Olympics. But we said the infrastructure maybe, the track record maybe, but exhibitions. Do you remember the first exhibition that we all correlate with in my age, people like in their 40s? It was Sharjah Expo. Funny enough is when we invited some ministers to come and visit us at the Expo, the driver took them to Sharjah Expo. Can you imagine that? We also know that Dubai been very successful in the past 20 years, if not more, about welcoming the world and conducting exhibitions. And we also know Abu Dhabi, the capital, they were not less successful in terms of also hosting a lot of international and regional events. And from that, Dubai and the UAE had the courage. Did you know how that decision was made about bidding for Expo 2020 in 2010? It was a decision overnight. Now, if a city wants to bid for a World Expo or something with this magnitude, do you think it's a city decision? It's not. It's a sovereign decision. It's a country decision. And from the people that I've interviewed, including Her Excellency itself, they gave me an insight about how did this really happen. It took one phone call from the Prime Minister's office to the President's office in Abu Dhabi over one night to get the green light to go ahead and bid and apply. And the letter was printed overnight. And His Excellency Mohammed al-Shaybani, I quote him by name, flew to Paris, where the BIE office for the bidding was, and put Dubai as a 5th additional countries that bidding for 2020. And it was a last-minute call, few hours before they closed the registration. Now, if you recall the countries, the 5 countries that really applied for 2020, and if you don't recall them, allow me to share with you how big they are and how strong they are in bidding for world mega events, to compare, just to give you an idea about where did the UAE stood for it. So for the 2020, unfortunately, Tokyo wasn't the one who's bidding, but we had Russia, Ekaterinburg. We had Brazil. Brazil also won Olympics in the past, so they had the experience. We had Turkey, Izmir, applying for it. We had Thailand. So Thailand were going through political issues and they withdrew last minute. Brazil, they were exhausted because they already had the Olympics running in 2016 and they also withdrew. They didn't think it's a good idea. And then we had the 2 strongest one ever, Russia and Turkey. And there are stories about the Turkey because really they were enticed about what Expo has to offer when it comes to competition. And the last vote came. Turkey lost, and then Russia and the UAE stood the last. Do you know how many votes did the UAE get from the members of the states that are registered within the BIE? So let's say the BIE 160 members. How many votes do you think the UAE had? لا تستحوا, don't be shy, please. Let's make it a little bit interactive. Halima, you know the answer anyway, so you shouldn't really answer it. 116, and I come to understand that the BIE itself office have never heard of such number of countries that really voted for a World Expo before with this number. So we were very proud of that. But do you think, how did we really get this? For 2 years, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah took the Expo file in his bag and he rallied the entire world to get their vote to come and vote for Dubai and the UAE to get the bid for 2020. So it was an exercise between the government of Dubai and the capital, Abu Dhabi. And without this collaboration, we would have not done it. One of the things that I don't want to underestimate, the entire bid dossier, because when you apply for a World Expo, you have to explain to the committee that sits there, who are really futuristic and mature, about why your city really deserves this, how your city is capable to accommodate the next World Expo. And the bid dossier, which is nearly 500 pages, was collated with a collaboration of the 7 Emirates, private sector, government sector, federal sector. Everybody's hand was in that 500-page dossier where we convinced the world through the BIE that Dubai and the UAE is the one for the World Expo 2020. So this is also to share with you the collaboration between the all. Thank you for saying so. So now we'll give you details about the Expo 2020. So when a country goes and convince the world, they have to have a very convincing theme. And the theme, as you say, connecting mind, creating the future. In China, what was the theme? City and life. What was in Milano? Feeding the planet. How did we come up with such a theme? When we looked at the model and the progress of Dubai and the UAE, we have realized one of the key elements that really made us successful, and we could share this model with the world, is by our ability to host people from different nations, and also to believe in their dreams, no matter what. I worked for the Nakheel project, and the Nakheel project was responsible for bringing the Palm Islands. How many of you go to the Palm Islands today and enjoy themselves? In 1999, a lot of consultants, when they heard about the idea, they said it will never happen. It will sink. Global warming, I don't know what's going to happen. But with the determination of our leadership, we opened the Palm Island in 2008, and up to date, people are still building at the Crescent. So they opened a new hotel called the W, right? And we still enjoy Zabil Sarai, and we still enjoy the Atlantis. So this is one. The same thing in the same period of the euphoria of building and developing in Dubai and the UAE, we said we will build up the tallest building in the world. And the tallest building in the world was opened in 2008. What is the tallest building in the world called at that time? It was called Burj Dubai. And it was renamed Burj Khalifa before the opening. A lot of countries around the region and else, they said, we will build the tallest one, even taller than Burj Dubai and Burj Khalifa. But 10 years later, do you think we have yet heard about a taller building in the world? So this strong track record that Dubai and the UAE had in believing in their people and diversity and making dreams come true and trying and not being fearful for all the new ideas that come really elevated us to convince the world that maybe there's something special about this model we followed behind our progress. But that was not good enough. We really had to analyze what were the components really to make sure that this happens. And we have realized through our sub-themes that could be the formula. This is a land of hospitality, of coffee culture, of majlis. We have more coffee shops in the UAE than any other countries, I think. And we have this coffee culture in every corner, in every mall, even outside the mall, right? And in these coffee shops or majlis, different mentalities, different ethnicities, different religion, different beliefs, different dreams meet over a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And they exchange ideas. And this is what we have realized, that there is a strength in terms of bringing people to find ideas. But finding an idea itself is not enough. So many ideas and innovative things that came through discussions, but if they are not written and executed, they just fade away. So the second essential component in the formula we have realized, mobility. For any innovation idea, you need to test it. You need to mobile resources around it. You need to bring finances, human resources, consultants, intellect, system. And therefore, we thought mobility really brought this idea to life. But so many ideas came, and we brought them to life, and they shut down, right? So what's the third key component is sustainability. Sustainability was the completing the formula itself to make sure that we are sustainable. Beautiful idea, let's see if it works, let's see if it's sustainable. If it's not sustainable, maybe modify it. We go again to opportunity, how can we mobile resources and do it? And with this, we thought, with these three sub-themes, we thought maybe the world also could come together and impact them in somehow. These are, of course, the essentials of the World Expo that we're going to host. So we are expecting 25 million visits. We are heading towards 192 plus participations from countries of different sectors. We were one of the few expos that really wanted to change the world through a World Expo by inviting 70% from the outside and 30% from the inside. If you look at this slide and I ask you, what do you think is so special about Expo 2020 Dubai in compared to other World Expos? Do you think it will be the biggest expo ever? You must have read that somewhere. A lot of people think we might host the biggest expo, but allow me to tell you no, because the biggest expo ever was in China. Space and number of visitors. They had nearly 77 million visitors coming forward. So we are not the biggest one. But we are the most diversified one, because we said if we are hosting a World Expo, and this World Expo is intended to change the world and impact the world, we really have to bring most of the world under umbrella for 6 months to exchange ideas, share solutions, resources, and build a partnership, because that's the only way forward to do it. So if I ask you today, what is so special about Expo 2020 Dubai? It's how many diversified countries and heads, decision makers, leaders we bring under these umbrellas to change the world. And the second thing, which is recently we have really got around, which is to make it the most accessible expo. Because we have realized past World Expo, we were not accessible by especially people of determinations. So they were also on the top of our agenda. And we also have realized we really need to focus on youth, because youth, they are our future. And wherever World Expo will impact them, will change the future of nations that will be visiting the expo. This is just to share with you the master plan for the Expo 2020. And as you can see, the entire master plan is translating or orchestrating the theme that we have. So we have opportunity pavilion, sustainability, and mobility. The one that inside the petals is our thematic pavilion, and these pavilions are rent and given. Did you know that the UAE sponsored nearly 100 developing countries by giving them the opportunity to take this for free, and supported them to curate the content, because we did not want them to be jeopardized. We wanted them to have content and to have opportunity like any other strong standing country. And this is our contribution to them, to make sure we lift them up with the world through this opportunity of 6 months. And if you could see, these are little bit toys in the outside around the petal. Do you see them? Round, squares, different colors? These are different sizes of self-built plots. Do you know how much do we charge the countries for them? The countries are having the land for free for the entire period. The only thing we charge them for is the utilities. But everything they bring here and they build is they will have to take with them. However, the Expo 2020 Dubai decided that they want to retain nearly 80% of whatever they build in to make sure that we use it for legacy. For probably most of you, you could be acquainted with the location of the Expo. But maybe for our guests, probably this will give them a perspective is where the Expo is. We already said the power of World Expo is that they're bringing cities within cities. So we planned the Expo to be in this strategic location. And through that, it will have access to different logistics, like DP World and like the airports that we have, and also the Abu Dhabi terminals, which is nearly 45 minutes away from the location itself. So this is a small icon in a bigger plan called Dubai South, if you have heard about it. So if you really wanted to visit the Expo next year, so just make sure that you know it's located there, between the Maktoum International Airport and Dubai Investment Park. What I wanted to share with you is a small video to entice you about the content that we'll bring throughout the Expo, and this is will.i.am, who's projecting it. Maybe we need to change the battery.
1, 2. You weren't there. You weren't there when humans conquered fire, when they wore animal skin attire or invented the bicycle tire. You weren't there when they created algebra, built the pyramids in Giza, or painted the Mona Lisa. You weren't there when they first made paper or built the amphitheater, when they calculated gravity or made flying reality. You weren't there when they composed the classics or discovered antibiotics, made the mechanical clock, or taught the world to rock. But you could be there and with your own eyes witness new acts of human genius. Be there to see the alliance of art, music, fashion, and science. See a futuristic festival filled with ideas new and radical. Performances magical in a 6-month-long spectacle. This you can't afford to miss. It's the best of humankind and the greatest show of our time.
Just imagine what will you see during the 6 months next year, and how you will be reaching out to different nations. Allow me to say this exercise also has a lot of national pride into it. And it's simply because it will give us the opportunity to share with the world 25 million visits, 192 plus countries, about who we are and what we are. And this what would lead me to the next slide, because I really wanted to share with you today, you being professionals from the government and also HR, about how did we really put the Emiratization strategy for the Expo 2020. What I will do today is I'm not in a place to tell you we did better, or we didn't do better, or our idea is better than everybody else's idea, or we are at the top. Being humble about it, really, this is what we collated together, and it's an experience we wanted to share with you, and it's up to you how would you like to use it. I am also standing on the stage, not privileged by telling you that I'm the expert, but I'm also standing on the stage to open my arms to all of you and to hear from you, maybe during the break, about what do you think and what are your ideas about. Maybe we can learn at the Expo from them, of course. Before we put the Emiratization strategies, we were thinking about benchmarks. Because normally, if you want to put a strategy for a project, you try to benchmark it to an industry and a function. And we thought that if we're going to put an Emiratization strategy for a world mega event, we have to be looking at another world mega event. We have to compare to other projects similar to that, instead of banking system or banking sectors or government sectors or whatever sectors. Regardless of what experience it carries, each project and each industry has its own niche. And throughout the research that we have conducted throughout multiple paperwork or probably journals and access to information from the previous World Mega Event, we have realized that a lot of countries won a World Expo, but unfortunately they were very much dedicating their efforts about delivering the Expo. However, not a lot of countries were successful in retaining the human legacy. So they got a World Expo euphoria, they closed the doors, and they woke up the next day and they said, oh my God, can I do this again? Do I have the people to do it? Having said that, there were few successful stories, but allow me to share a few with you. For the Glasgow, the Commonwealth Games in 2014, they have created something called the Scottishman Fund. And so through this fund, they brought the imprivileged Scotchmen to be upskilled to participate in these few weeks Commonwealth Games. And these Scotsmen became employable. So that's a successful story. The second one, in the London Olympics 2012, they created something for apprentices. So it's fresh graduates, they bring them on board to be part of the organization. And to be honest with you, today at Expo in 2019, we have few of them. And they are in a head and a director level. So you can imagine the span that they have reached out throughout the past years. The good and the nice story is Baku. Baku in Azerbaijan, in their first event, they needed a lot of help. So they brought a lot of expatriates, majority, nearly 90% from around the world, to put their first mega event ever. But in their second event, how many did you think they needed from outside? The organization committee for delivering their recent event was 400. They brought only 80 expatriates. Everybody else was Azerbaijani. And today at World Expo, we got a chance to bring some of them to share their experiences with us in the project. What is so more beautiful than that? And therefore, we said, how can we really put this in the context of the UAE? The reason why I told you the story of our leadership, how bold they were, and they went to win a World Expo from the first time, not knowing if we will have it or not, but driven by their passion and their aspirations for their nations. I thought maybe to put a vision like that would be as bold, as equal as bold as they are. And we said in our vision at the Expo, okay, what does it take really to have a national talent that is confident in delivering a world mega event for the first time, and not only delivering it, but replicating it, which means creating it again and again and again with a national talent. So this is what we envisioned. And then we thought, okay, what do we need to do to reach that vision? And we have realized there are two main components to it. Component number one, if you really want to have a national talent to be able to do that, you will have to bring as much as national talent on board to go through the Expo experience. And mission number 1 was very much directed around employment opportunities with meaningful percentage of nationals. Now, a lot of you will ask me, what is the percentage, Fatima? I'll tell you, I don't know, and I don't want to be limited by it. If there is a meaningful opportunity for Emiratis to come from different sectors, and they can be 60%, 70%, why not? It's the first mega event. It's extremely challenging, but we will not stop. If we brought forward 40% of the Emiratis to be with us, be it also. It will be considered a success as well. Mission number 2, a lot of organizations, they think from an HR perspective, I mean, tell me if I am on the same assumption or not. When we bring Emiratis on board, a lot of organizations, they think they are learning. They think the knowledge is being transferred. But because the span of the project is too small, so small for us, we could not take anything for granted. So our mission number 2 was very much dedicated to knowledge transfer across all roles and deliver and operate Expo 2020, which means we did not want to take anything for granted, and we will share with you later the program and the platform. We wanted to make sure through it we capture everything in written for the juniors, for the middles, and for the leadership, and across all the critical functions we have to deliver a mega event on this scale. Now, at the bottom, allow me to share with you the program we have initiated. We have initiated a program for internship, and I will share with you in another slide about what is that program about. We cut 350 opportunity for operational roles, entry level, based on the requirement of the manpower and the forecast of Expo for next year, and we dedicated them for Emiratis. We also created 400 opportunity for nationals with experiences come from the government, and we'll share with you also insights about them. And at last, we had a beautiful experience with engaging with people of determinations and bringing them on board, and I will share with you aspiration, probably impact, how this project was really impactful for an organization like Expo. So the internship program. The internship program essence is very simple. What we did is we studied the malpractices and the good practices of internship program across the country, and we tried to learn from them. And these are based on our experiment, these are the findings. We realized that we could be looking at fresh grads that are not very much tied to their GPA or to their field. We understand Emiratis can be really academically extremely well, or they can be field and operationally very well. And from that, we said to elevate to that, you don't need to have a GPA nor a field that is relevant to us. Anybody with a potential is welcome to the program. Number 2, we said, okay, we will give them an opportunity to be trained under different functions based on their liking. So we do not decide you are an engineer, you go to delivery team. You are a media, you go to the PR team. We don't do that at our program. We give them the liberty and the passion to choose where they want to be. And we thought through their passion, maybe they will learn faster and better, and that will create different opportunities for them. We also wanted to make sure that the department interview them. It's very important they like them, because there is a chemistry that has to be created at the beginning. I cannot impose a trainee, no matter how much I like that trainee and I am in love with them. The program is very simple. It's driven by the interns. So the interns take the responsibility of executing his learning roadmap, which he will sign at the beginning with his line manager. It has to be industry knowledge foundation, because there is no point of them to be interning at engineering and they don't know what a World Expo means. So we wanted to make sure they understand the World Expo as a macro level. We also wanted to ensure it's a competence building. They are building skills for employability. They're not just there. They have what does it have to take for them to do something similar to the job they're training under. And at the end, we wanted to make sure they have the work exposure. So if this scope asks you to go out and meet people, or ask you to attend meeting, or ask you to execute something, you have to do exactly the same. At the end of the day, we also ask them throughout the program to tell us what do they think. Standing here being the matter expert of this position, does not give us a complete competitive advantage. Sometimes these young people, they have beautiful ideas, and they can make us even work better. At the end, they do a 15-minute final presentation. There is a final evaluation. We give them a recommendation letter, and they get a reward. But we are not paying salaries for our interns. We pay them 1,000 dirham per week to compensate for their petrol and food, because they don't earn money, these interns, fresh grads with zero experience. So we give them that for them to reach the site, make sure that they afford the lunch and come back. And it has been working with us so far. So today we are entertaining 141 applications. And since the launch of the program in September, we were successful to bring 80 trainees to train within Expo. Some of them were employed, and some of them we realized they were employed faster outside after gaining the experience with Expo. This video can share with you an opinion of one of our
What I think is valuable here is you get to use what you learn in school in the actual work environment. So you move from a theoretical place to a practical place. I can contribute with my ideas what I think would be good for sustainability in general, and I have a role to play in creating that future through Expo. I can suggest them, we can talk about them, we can work on them, we can look at the practicalities of it, and I think that has an impact, you know. If you want to expand your knowledge, if you want to improve yourself as a person, definitely apply to Expo and work here.
You can't imagine Hamdan, when he came for interviews, he would never do such a thing. So after 3 months of being trained under that platform, look how confident he is. Not to bore you so much about our programs, but just to give you an insight, we dedicated 350 openings for fresh graduates, youth, nationals to come forward. And it's a full-time job that we train them at an academy to make sure that they are having leadership, operational skills, and also managerial skills, and at the same time technical skills to be able to deliver a mega event with this scale. The beautiful thing about this project, it's not only for youth representation in the front of our visitors at the front line when we welcome the 25 million visits, it's also an amazing knowledge transfer that will transfer knowledge and skills of an industry that doesn't really exist here, and it's not being taught. When we spoke to Dubai College of Tourism, and these are the ones who are delivering this training for the 350 for us, that we will contract full-time for next year, they told us, Expo, with this, you have really injected the industry with a skill gap identified for exhibitions and tourism. So this one will be very impactful for legacy. And the scale is not very much different than the previous one. So we bring young nationals, give them operational roles, entice them about leadership and management, and put them in 6 weeks intense training, and they are never called trainees from day one. They have full-time contract from day one, and at the end, that execute the benefits of having UAE visibility running a World Expo, we included our youth, and there is a huge knowledge transfer and legacy impacted by it. I will share with you 1-minute video that can really give you a brief about what Expo Generation Program is all about. To work on a project to be interacting with the youth and the new generation, allow me to share with you, these new generation is a completely different ball game. They want a purpose. They don't want just a job. They want something new. They want to be trusted. And from that, we built up a campaign of saying, we believe in you. Our third project is the program of inclusion. And the story behind it is that we've been asked to look at inclusion initiatives. But when we talk about inclusion for an international organization, we talk about gender equality, right? So we run a research of demographic to see in the Expo floor, do we have gender inequality? And we have realized 51% of the staff at Expo is females, while 49 are males. So we thought, we're organically doing really well. When we talk about inclusion, we talk about diversity and ethnicity. And at that time, when we ran the research about the demographic, we have realized we were at 60, 70 nationalities. And we realized, oh my God, it's organically happening. But what we did not have is people of determinations and disabilities coming forward to apply at Expo. And therefore, we initiated the program. Have you ever seen Salim before or heard his story through the news? Salim Bawazir was a trainee under the Emiratization Department, and he is today the one who's leading the entire program of inclusion for Expo. So his responsibility is sums in these two. And for people, if you don't know Salim, you will see him in the video next. He is diagnosed with cerebral palsy, so he is not moving on a wheelchair. He cannot move his hand except a pen, and you can hardly understand when he speaks. But in there, he is extremely smart. And with that, we really entrusted him to run the entire program for Expo. And because of him today, we enabled 8 trainees to come on board to learn at Expo and to be upskilled from different disabilities, from people of determinations. We were successful in converting 5 to come and be with us on the team. And when we talk about program of inclusion of this scale, it's not enough that you bring people on board. You really have to change the organizations physically. So we did a lot of changes in the office. We fixed a ramp, we had sliding doors, we did a lot of things that are accessible to make sure anybody with disabilities is able to access our office. So that the physical efforts was done. We changed nearly 90% in terms of that in comparison to the Dubai University Universal Design for 2017. Now, when we talk about the physical, it's not enough. You need to have people that have the culture of welcoming them. So poor Salim at the beginning, when he was like going with his wheelchair and I was walking with him in the corridors, people said, "Hi, Fatima," but they couldn't acknowledge Salim. And even when they could acknowledge Salim, they put their hand forward because they did not know that he cannot move his hand. And it was quite awkward. So with that, we run monthly awareness sessions for all our staff to make sure that they are confident enough in dealing with any person of determinations in-house. Either they are visitors or people that work in here, including sign language training. That was not good enough for us. So we have realized a lot of people with determinations are sitting at their homes and probably they cannot be part of the expo and be with us on the floor. So what we did is we discussed with the Ministry of Community Development, and they told us there is workshops, 4 of them across the entire Emirates, and they produce products. And at the end, we put a KPI of a trial saying 100,000 dirhams worth opportunity for people of determinations handwork. So they get commercial opportunities where they are, and they don't have to come with us in the office, but also they get a chance to say, "Oh my God, I contributed to the expo through the logo." And if you see the picture on the side, it's made by people of determinations. Within 6 months of launching that, we generated 80,000 dirhams worth before even the year closure with them. The last program that we had in place, allow me just to share it with you as well. This is one video to sum our experience with it. I was terrified because with all the confidence I stand behind, I haven't done this before. During the interview stage where he said, "Do not look at my disability, but look at my ability and what I can deliver." So Salim Bawazir today is trained through the HR department to lead a program of inclusion for Expo.
I never see my disability. That's why I'm here. I accept myself as I am. I need this whole disability from my dictionary. I work in one. I make change. I really make change here. But still, some people don't believe in this. Wherever I go, I make the change. And we thought through Salim's story and experience, we can also
readjust the belief of the families to believe in their own kids and to make sure they encourage them to go out there and be part of the society instead of doubting them and overprotecting them, thinking this is the right thing for them. He would have been really happy to hear your claps today, to be honest with you. But he's so busy preparing for the accessibility exhibition that's happening next week from 5th to 7th. So if you really want to meet Salim, please come forward and visit us at the Ministry of Community Development stage. The last program that we have, which would be very much interesting also for our visitors from the government of the Republic of Uzbekistan. We deal with a lot of countries, excuse me, Your Excellencies. We wanted to share with you that this exercise of mega event, I'm putting it together, if we bring a lot of international people, they will create another international World Expo, which we really didn't want. So we wanted to make sure that this World Expo is localized in somehow and fit our region and fit the expectations of the people or our visitors and have a little bit of flavor of Emiratis in it. And we have realized that through that we could engage with the government to come forward with their best Emiratis professionals in different fields and be with us in this project. So we had something called secondment and assignment platforms where we bring Emiratis to work with us, and then they go back to the government and their positions after the World Expo is finished. Through this opportunity, the government, unfortunately, might not give them a scope that as international always as the Expo. So we realized a lot of Emiratis have a beautiful talent and abilities, and this arena could really serve them to express themselves. Not only that, but build up their skills. And what we have realized, a lot of international people we brought from different parts of the world, they said, okay, we know how to do World Expo in China, we know how to do World Expo in Milan, but we need your people to come and tell us, how do we do a World Expo in the UAE? And there is a huge knowledge transfer happening. So when these people go back to the government, they will never be the same. Imagine what these talent after the experience of Expo will do back and will serve better their countries and their positions at the government. Throughout our journey in the past 6 months, and Halima Al-Kas, my senior manager for government mobilization, is sitting here, and she can witness, we went across the 7 Emirates to explain to them this opportunity within the Expo 2020. And to be honest with you, we were overwhelmed and welcomed, including Fahar themselves and Dr. Abdurrahman Lawar, who supported strongly this opportunity. And the Emiratis are standing by our door with their applications because they said, we want to be there. And poor Halima is bombarded with a lot of emails and calls because they want to be there. So we're overwhelmed, not only by the Emiratis, also by the support we got from the local government and from the federal government especially. So this is just to share with you how do they really apply. So we created a platform, but I go back again and I say, we do not take people coming forward to have the experience with Expo for granted. We make sure their learning is captured. The skill they're building is captured. So every Emirati comes forward into our stage, they sign a document like this with their managers. It's called a Career with Expo, and it explains to you that there are smart objectives around their development, action plan, mentors, and deadline. And we expect all the Emiratis to sign this with the line manager from a span of 3 months to 6 months. Now, remember the mission number 1? They were the project, the program. And now I'll just skim through it quickly because of the time, and I'm so sorry. I get so passionate about Emiratization to the extent that no matter how much Salwa is telling me to expedite, this is the last one. I'll take just 2 minutes of your time, if that's okay. If you really wanted to bring Emiratis on board, you have to make sure the line managers and the organization is aware and ready with the agenda. And therefore, we created an initiative called Eye on Emiratization. And these are a series of initiatives that serve the leaders and give them the toolbox to execute the knowledge transfer. We cannot just bring Emiratis through programs and we assume, they're learning. No. We want to make sure that all the line managers, all these expertise who've seen it, done it, come and help us delivering the knowledge transfer. And from the beginning, we created 5 different waves, and I apologize for the format here. So wave number 1, we inducted a lot of them about what Emiratization, why it's important for us, because not a lot of them knew that wherever they were. In wave number 2, which is a 6 month later, we said, okay, how can you develop Emiratis within your scope? Because not a lot of Emiratis did World Mega Event and know your expertise on the field. So they were also given 6 months to execute that. Now we are executing wave 3, which is identifying the critical know-how, the critical knowledge. So we sit with the head of the department and say, within your function, sir, what is so critical for mega event? And they said, Fatima, here, here, here. And then we tell them, where are your best Emiratis in your structure? He said, I have this one, this one, this one. So we invest in our best Emiratis for these critical roles because these are additional roles. They have something to develop within their scope, and they have something to develop for critical roles for the country's legacy. It's not only for them. It's for the entire nation to make sure the World Expo finished and we captured everything. With this, and this is also a document we created around the same, just to tell you that everything at Expo is captured, has to be written and put in SAP system, in performance management system, to make sure that it's documented and we have a dossier about each Emirati that went through the experience. At the end, I just want to share a small video about Emirati's aspirations, and with that we conclude.
Moment in the history of the UAE.
This is the World Expo, delivered by the UAE to the world.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. See you. Expo 2020 will be an opportunity for all Emiratis to give back to this nation.
Expo 2020 is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to gain unique and valuable professional skills.
Expo 2020 offers Emiratis with an opportunity to be part of the foundation for the UAE's next 50 years. So what are you waiting for?
Join the Expo 2020 team now.
As much as it looks like that we're having fun at the Expo, to be honest with you, we're working extra hours. It's a very hard work. And I'm not going to lie to you. There will be a lot of jeopardize of relationships. Your kids, you might not see them. Sleep, forget about it. Closer to the event, just to make sure we put the most exceptional Expo ever, and to keep memories for all our 25 million visits. So when they go back and they say, I do this, or I know this, or I progress like this because of Expo 2020 Dubai. Thank you for your attention.
I would like, oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank our guest, Ms. Fatma Lughani, for this great talk and insight on the Expo 2020 International Exhibition. And I would like to open the floor for 5 minutes of question, if anybody have any questions on this regard. I think she has covered all aspects, but please, if you have any questions. Yes.
Dear Ms. Fatima, we know a lot of countries build big facilities for big, great events. You mentioned World Cup on football, you mentioned World Expos, you mentioned Olympic Games. But a lot of countries, including China, Russia, have a problem, not problem, but issues have to use the facilities, great facilities, which was built before event, after event, on their full capacity. So how to use this problem for facilities after Dubai 2020 would be ended?
It's an extremely critical and important question, Your Excellency. So thank you very much for bringing it forward. From the little we know about previous World Mega Event, you are extremely right, because a lot of these buildings, streets, and areas become ghost houses, and they're not utilized nor capitalized on. We have studied the past few expos, and through our humble experience, we took different measures. I am not the expert in terms of the entire exhibition. I am only the head of Emiratization and nationalization projects, but from my point of view and whatever little I know, allow me to share this answer with you. We are one of the few expos that started planning for legacy before even we started planning for the expo. So our legacy piece is 50% and as equal as delivering the expo from the beginning and the inception of the entire mission and the vision of the expo itself. So that's number one. Number two, I think we gave also a better idea about nationalization and building human legacy before even 2 years before even we start opening the doors. We did not think about it while it's happening. We planned for it, for after expo legacy in human resources as well. The last one, not a lot of Emiratis here and people know that the expo is one of the only events that started their outplacement strategy, blueprints, concept, design, and launch a year before the event opens its doors. So as we speak today, Your Excellency, we try to do our best in terms of building District 2020 to be the organization that will take over the site after the expo and make sure the site is usable, and that is the physical legacy. We also made sure that somebody in terms of nationalization is taking care of the human legacy. And we didn't take all the people that came and helped us to deliver this World Expo for granted. So our outplacement strategy is on the way to make sure that everybody participated is smoothly transited and hopefully to another legacy piece. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. Very much impressed of the level of preparation, especially the passion of young Emirati people who wants to participate in, and a great idea about participation, inclusive participation of people with disabilities. And thank you very much for the give opportunities for Uzbekistan to participate in Expo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are extremely excited about the Uzbekistan Pavilion and whatever culture and insight they will bring to us. So good luck with that.
في عندنا سؤال ثاني. We have another question.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
يا بنت زايد، أنت بنت زايد.
أنا بنتهم كلهم زايد ومحمد وسلطان.
زايد.
حياك الله.
I'm Samia Al-Maki from Higher Colleges of Technology, Sharjah campuses.
حبيبتي حياك.
We are very delighted and we've received this invitation to connect with people like you, respective. I just want to add one thing. I am Samia, and everyone, I'm sure about that here, proud of you, and you are leading that. Expo 2020 is not a small project. When you say it verbally, Expo 2020, you feel like you have the courage, لأن نحن عيال زايد, and be assured that we are cooperating with Mohri, spreading awareness, recommendation to our students, either active students, potential graduates, plus alumni, to participate with this big event. لأن نحن عيال زايد. So you will see us there. Believe me. راسك فوق يا أستاذة فاطمة.
مشكورة سامية.
الله يعزك إن شاء الله. مشكورة يا حبيبي.
حبيبتي, we could never do whatever we could do today if we without the collaboration of the government, of course, and without the collaboration of the system of the UAE. And I think to stand outside behind our success around the world,
أكيد.
it's the 7 Emirates unity.
طبعا.
And it's the collaboration that we brought forward. And as I said, I share with you, Samia, my being overwhelmed, saying I would have not been standing confident here if I didn't have people like you sitting in the government supporting us with this.
أكيد أكيد.
So thank you.
Thank you
and
for
thanks
you,
to
my
all of
dear.
you.
Thank you. شكرا أختي. Do you have any other questions? There, Sam. Two more questions, please, and we need to wrap up the session.
Hello, thank you for the update. I'm Saika and I'm from Searchy. How is Expo leveraging the bridge between, there's obviously a lot of Emiratis that are looking for jobs, are interested in getting involved in many different initiatives. I think technology and AI has done incredible things if I look across the world. So how is Expo leveraging the bridge between the gap between bringing Emiratis closer to technology and AI, and how do companies like that are based here, home of the UAE, be part of this exciting transformation?
A very critical but also difficult questions, but allow me to answer it from this angle. I led the Emiratization program, and the Emiratization program enabled a lot of Emiratis to come forward with different platforms. Now we have the chief of IFT, which is Information Technology for Future, and he is the one who is responsible to make sure that we engage the public with the latest technology. He is extremely enthusiastic and one of our extreme enthusiastic leaders in terms of nationalization. With him, he comes to the HR and he opens doors and he says, bring me all the Emiratis that you have that interested in technology, and he interviews them and he decides where he put them within the system. Having said that, we have an amazing collaboration with Accenture, and we have amazing collaboration with Etisalat as well, and SAP. These are 3 different strong gurus, if you will allow me to say, when we talk about technology. So through them, we thought maybe we can engage with the public through the visitation, not only through the nationalization when we open our doors. So be ready to be excited about all the technology that we will exhibit during the 6 months, including giving an introduction to our youth and whoever will interact with Expo itself, either people who will work on these technologies or people who will be visiting the Expo and engaged with these technologies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last question, if any? Okay, I think we don't have any further questions. So thank you very much, Fatma, for this great talk and having you on this event. And we look forward to meeting you on other occasions and being there in the Expo 2020, inshallah.
Thank you, Salwa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you again.
Thank you, our ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests from the Republic of Uzbekistan. Please, ladies, you can evaluate the session through visiting the minty.com and entering the above code. And if you have any suggestions for the HR Club coming sessions, please enter them through the tool. Thank you very much. شكرا فاطمة. هم سؤالين صح؟